I guess, try to mentally recover. So I'm no longer thinking about jumping off a cliff.
Was there a moment where you thought about jumping off a cliff?
Are there any cliffs in? I don't know if there are any cliffs. If I lived in, nah, I don't like water.
Was it the last 8 minutes that had you?
No, what I said after the game, and I think this was true of both teams, we have spurt ability. There are times that I'm really happy and impressed with the way our guys are playing. Really hard at the defensive end of the floor, really competing at the offensive end of the floor, and we're making shots. Duke has that as well, and their spurt lasted longer than ours did, and at the right time. Our spurt came at the beginning of the half, from the first possession to the 8-minute mark. We were constantly putting pressure on their defense and scoring. And then the last 8 minutes, it was all them. Gary Trent making shots, Wendell Carter making shots, and we couldn't stop them. And that would have been okay if we kept scoring. We had 66 points with 8 minutes to go. We should have finished with close to 90, and we just got cold. And if you look at our numbers in our wins versus our numbers in our losses, they're so dramatically different. What I would say about coaching really good players over the course of my career, their numbers were different, but not significantly different. So a guy might be shooting 80% from the foul line in your wins and 70 or 72% in the losses. Might shoot 50% in the wins, 42% in the losses. That's not what's happening to us right now. You know, there's a dramatic difference. And we're trying to simplify what we're doing offensively so maybe we can get a little bit more consistency.
Were you seeing that even from the veteran players that should know all this stuff by now?
Well, we don't, you know, when you say veteran players,
right, a sophomore.
Sophomores,
yeah.
It's a little bit different because when you're a junior and a senior, like Anthony Lawrence is a good example. I think he's having a terrific junior campaign. He's now playing almost exclusively at the 4, when in high school he was a point guard. But by playing the 4, he's able to utilize all of his skills. He can dribble. You see him get a rebound and push it on the fast break. You see him shoot the 3. Why? Well, he's not being guarded by a guy most nights that's out there pressuring him at the 3. Like a 3-man would. They're not pressuring him at the 3-point line. So he's having a chance to do just about everything he's good at. Rebound at the defensive end of the floor, push it on the fast break. Spot up and hit a 3. Pick and pop and drive to the basket. You saw him drive to the basket a couple of times against Duke and be challenged, pushed, and still score the bucket. So his consistency of performance is what you like to see from an upperclassman, a junior or senior. But we only have one senior, and he's not having the kind of year that I'm sure he was expecting or that we were expecting. He's had some good moments, but overall, a guy who's scored 1,000 points in his career normally is averaging double figures. And he hasn't been able to do that. Now, some of it may be that he's playing with so many young guys. And I see some players around the league that are upperclassmen that are also finding that. When you play with young guys, they don't find you that easily.
You just talked about simplifying things on offense, maybe. Can you expand on that? I mean,
Yeah, I think what happens in the beginning of the year when we're looking at our team, we're adding a lot of things as we go along. So obviously the first day you're just putting in your offense, your man-to-man offense. And then you're putting in your zone offense. And then you're putting in your out-of-bounds plays. And then you're putting in your quick hitters, your ATOs. Okay, this is what we want to do after timeouts. And you start adding things. Eventually, the players have to learn all of those things. But as they're learning them, you're also now playing games and seeing what works and what doesn't work. So what we might do against a team that plays a packing defense is different than what we might do against a team that plays pressure defense. So like NC State is a pressure team. They pick up full court. They may trap you. They're denying passes. That's very, very different than when we play a Virginia, who, when Virginia plays, it's their pack line defense. They're trying to take away the paint. You're not going to be able to post feed very well. Even when you do, he's going to be double teamed. So you have to have different strategy against each opponent. And it seems like, for whatever reason, we're bouncing from one thing to the other. We played Georgia Tech, they zone. Then we played Florida State, they pressure. And then we play Clemson, they pack. Then we play Duke, and they pressured and up until the last 8 minutes, then all of a sudden they went zone. All right, so players have to make that transformation from, okay, I got to recognize what this defense is and how to attack it. And we're trying to make it as simple as possible, as close against the pressure as we see against the pack, so that there's not as many adjustments for the players to make. Veteran players, Shane Larkin, who was really, really bright and had a lot of basketball savvy, he was able to make those adjustments as a sophomore, not as a freshman. But Angel Rodriguez, by the time he became eligible, he was, a third-year college player here. So he was able to make the necessary adjustments pretty quickly. But there's a very large learning curve for guards.
We've talked about DeJuan's development on the court. I wanted to ask you a little bit just him finding his voice as a leader, because he said he's trying to do that. What have you seen from him on that front, and just even as a sophomore, kind of growing into one of the more experienced veterans?
Yeah, if during the recruiting of DeJuan, if you would have told me what he is actually like, I would have said, I don't even recognize that guy. Once he got here, I mean, he is so friendly, so warm, so charming, and so interested in learning. He's like a sponge. He wants to do everything we're trying to teach. So the role of leader, he's one of our co-captains. And the reason we named him one of the co-captains is because his willingness to do what we're asking him to do. He really has embraced our philosophy. So I want to give him a chance to blossom in that regard. And he's doing it. And I'm telling you this, he's a long ways from being done. I mean, his ceiling is very, very high. He hasn't played basketball that long, and I spoke to him the other day about 10,000 hours, the outliers, and he said, no, I'm not close to that. So when you get there, you're going to see a huge difference. It won't be in college. It'll be when he's 25 years old, and everybody will say, wow, has he improved?
Have you talked to Jaquan about what he was?
I met with Jaquan, Bruce, and DJ yesterday. My coaches and I did. And we spent probably, I don't know, a half hour to 45 minutes just discussing where we are and the extreme differences in performance. And they don't have the answers. It's not like they told us, Coach, if you do this, then we're going to be fine. They're kind of confused by it as well.
Are all three similar situations, you think, or they're all three different?
Well, all three different personalities. They all three have different skill sets. You know, like DJ's relies very heavily on the three-point shot, and Jaquan relies very heavily on the drive, the slashing move to the basket. So you can't compare, you know, the way one guy plays to the other. But what we really talked about is offensively, we have guys who by their nature are scorers. And because of that, their first thought is to score. And what we need is a better balance of scoring and passing. We need more assists. Our goal is to get 16 assists every game, and a lot of times we're down around 8 or 9. And we're not going to win that way. And those guys know it. But as they found, like, Coach, I threw the ball to so-and-so, and he was wide open, but he missed the shot. You don't get an assist for that. It's a good play, a good pass, but if the guy doesn't make the shot, there's no assist. And that's the difference. Some nights, guys really shoot the ball well. But and I'm surprised by this, we're not shooting the ball consistently well. I look at some of the shots we took against Duke when they were on that 18-0 or 18-2 run, and I asked myself, well, if we had to do it all over again, would you tell that guy to shoot it? And be like, yes, that was a good shot.
Chris Likes is about 1-to-1 on assist turnover ratio. Do you foresee that changing quite a bit as he progresses?
Probably not as a freshman. No, he's a scorer. He's got a scorer's mentality. He's really good putting the ball in the basket, and you need a little bit more experience, a little more maturity to be able to do what a Trae Young is doing. You know, scoring at a very high rate, and then also finding the open man, getting a lot of assists. To create that balance is not easy, and especially not easy when you're not starting and have the ball in your hands all the time. You know, Chris is right now our sixth man. He's coming in off the bench and being our spark plug. And he's doing a great job of that. So, and he needs to continue to do that. One of the things is if anybody who follows us closely would know, Jaquan Newton doesn't shoot a lot of threes. But Chris Likes comes in off the bench, and even in talking to our guards, Jaquan, Bruce, and DJ, they all said, yeah, Chris needs to shoot threes because they see him in practice and in games. So if he's trying to make threes, he's penetrating some of the time making layups because he's fast and can go by him. But then you add but you also have to get assists, but the guy you're throwing it to is not a three-point shooter. What's he going to do? He's going to drive it. Well, you don't get an assist for that, even if the guy makes the shot.
Sam hasn't played in a while. I know he had the back injury.
Yeah.
Is he healthy, or is it just?
He's healthy. I think he went through a tough period where his confidence was down. He's actually practicing now since, let me see what game. Maybe since Florida State, his practices have been much better at a higher level. And I even said to the coaches that we might need to go back and look at Sam again. He's not turning the ball over anymore in practice. He's doing a good job defensively and rebounding, but it's hard to add to your rotation. At this time of year, you're normally shrinking your rotation, and that's what we did. We went from a 9-man rotation to an 8. We had Chris Likes, Lonnie Walker, Buka Zundu, and Sam coming in off the bench. Now we've moved Lonnie into the start lineup and DJ off the bench. We reduced it by not playing Sam. Now we have 3 guys, and they're each getting more playing time then. And we're hoping that builds up their confidence so that Chris Likes is getting more playing time, and I think he's contributing more. We need Buka to do the same thing. He's been a little less productive than we anticipated in recent games in conference play.
Can you pinpoint any particular reason why for him?
Yeah, probably DeJuan Ewell. DeJuan's playing well, so I'm sticking with DeJuan a little bit longer so Buka doesn't get the call quite as early or as often. I mean, that's the thing that's very challenging for a coach you know, how many minutes do I play this guy if a guy is playing really well? You know, Anthony Lawrence is playing well, so he's playing more and more minutes. You know, Dewan Ewell is playing pretty darn well. Well, let's give him a chance to continue, but that reduces the minutes for another guy. And in Buka's case, if his minutes went from 20 down to 18 down to 12, because Dewan is now going from 22 minutes to 32 minutes, and it's harder to make a major contribution if your minutes are dwindling.
Can you talk about NC State? I mean, I know they've had, obviously big wins this year. What are you expecting from them?
They're playing great, especially at home. They're averaging 90 points a game at home. They have 5 guys in double figures. They've already beaten Clemson, Duke, and Wake Forest at home. We've lost to Duke and Clemson, so we know we've got our hands full. They'll certainly be the favorite this weekend, playing in front of 19,000 fans, and having played as well as they have at home, the crowd will go crazy, and it's a noon game. So it's a real challenge for us.
And in particular with year 7, the challenges he presents.
Well, Omar Yurtseven is a dual threat. He's a very good low post scorer and a terrific three-point shooter. So in the low post, you got to try to keep him from catching the ball, and at the three-point line, you got to close him out very quickly because he's got a very quick release and a very nice shot and very good range. So Dewan Ewell will start on him, and he's got to do a great job on him.
Anything else?
I know you're redshirting Dang, but how's his development been going?
Well, Dang was home for almost a month during the Christmas break. He's just gotten back as the semester began. So we are working with him, and he's going to make very good progress this year.